Welcome to this Connect to the Capitol Extra. R.J. May back in the headlines. At a hearing this past week, it was determined he will defend himself in federal court against those child porn charges that he was hit with earlier this year. We talked about this briefly in our regular Connect to the Capitol program. There are some elements to this that we didn't get time to spend on this. As we established on our show, never a good idea to go to any court of law on any charge without an attorney. So how do we get here? How did this happen, Catherine Foster?
So speaking as an attorney, so there's that caveat, like hire us. You don't want to do it. And I pulled up a couple of my favorite quotes about public defenders, actually. You know, R.J. May was granted a couple of very good public defenders, well-known, great reputation, well-experienced. And but he had an impasse with them. He was not able to come to an agreement on strategy when it came to the admission of evidence in his trial. Not totally surprising, since he seems to be claiming that the evidence is all fabricated, despite the fact that you'd have to have known his Wi-Fi password in order to have faked the evidence that was presented before the court. But he wasn't able to come to an agreement, so he said he wanted to defend himself. Originally, he asked if he could do this hybrid, that he would be pro se, representing himself, but that he would have his counsel, the public defenders, next to him at counsel table, much as we're sitting here. But the judge said no, that's too much of a gray area, and that's understandable, because that can create a lot of questions with adequate representation, etc. So the judge said, no, what you can do is represent yourself, pro se, you're alone at the table, but the attorneys can be behind you so that you can consult with them about legal questions. Is this a good idea? No, in short.
There's your answer.
Yeah, not for any case, but certainly not for a case of this magnitude. So a couple of quotes from the U.S. Supreme Court from the Gideon v. Wainwright case, critical case, the one that established the breadth of the right to counsel. The court unanimously said, lawyers in criminal courts are necessities, not luxuries. A defendant requires the guiding hand of counsel at every step. Without it, though he be not guilty, he faces the danger of conviction because he doesn't know how to establish his innocence. Even if you're innocent, you call a lawyer. Even Clarence Darrow, widely considered the most famous lawyer of the 20th century, the lawyer who did the Scopes monkey trial, the Leopold and Loeb murder case. Yep. You think of a lawyer in the 20th century, a real one, you think Clarence Darrow. And he was charged with jury tampering, suborning of perjury, some legal offenses that lawyers sometimes get. And what was his first move, his first call? To a lawyer. That's what you do.
Yeah. And this is a place where the law and public opinion and what you hear has come out during investigations, months of investigations, the data that shows very simultaneous, very different kind of conversations on Easter Sunday.
Amen, happy Easter.
Amen, happy Easter. And at the same time, child porn was also being sent from a device that apparently was in his possession. That's what is being claimed. He has 10 counts against him. That's 10 different charges against him. That is really going to be hard to do any level of defense against. And I can only imagine that that's one reason why he has just had that impasse, as you said, Catherine, with his legal team, because they're basically, I can only imagine what they're saying when he says, listen, this isn't me, and they look and go, that's not what this says.
Exactly. You know, we were talking about this earlier, back before the cameras turned on, about how everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Everyone deserves the right to a fair trial. We can all agree on that. But we also know that when the feds come for you, when they come for you on child pornography charges, that's something that can destroy your reputation, destroy your life if they get that wrong. So they only come after you, at least at this point in our nation, they only come after you when they are real certain. And so it's even more important to have adequate representation. And
Right.
so to go in on your own and think that you can handle this, to me, speaks to a level of self-sufficiency, of feeling almost impervious to any kind of attack, invincible, and he's not.
Yeah.
And this is a place too where let's talk about phone data. The information that's on your phone, the usage of your phone, all of that information is stored somewhere. Let's go back, Alex Murdaugh case, where they started tracing his phone's movement. You use your Find Friends, or you're sharing your location with somebody. Snapchat, whatever it might be. That information is tracking your movements. The phone that you carry with you knows where you are, and there's a record of that. There's also a record of all the websites that you go to and the things that are going on there, because all of those transactions of data back and forth get recorded.
Even if you think you're on private.
Right. And so in this particular
Doesn't really
case,
matter.
it doesn't matter if you were on private or not on private, and you certainly, cannot go back and forth between one message to one group and one message to another group of people who are being very nefarious on Easter Sunday and expect to say, I'm claiming that this is two different things happening at the same time in the same house.
A constituent and a criminal communication, same device, same Wi-Fi password. He had that defense idea that because he posted a picture that apparently had the Wi-Fi password like scribbled on the fridge in like tiny
That
print.
someone intercepted it.
Right. Yeah.
And used it for ill-gotten.
Can't even read the thing. Yeah.
And this is where, best of luck to him. If you're going in there and you're going to try to do this on your own, as Catherine said, don't expect a really good outcome for him coming from this. And I'll say this, having done interviews and had conversations with those who have been part of the criminal justice system, those who have been incarcerated, it will not necessarily be a pleasant time for him with child pornography and child pornography distribution charges on him should he be convicted.
That's right. And again, trust your lawyer is really the key here. You can always disagree, you can consult with someone else, there are different options there, but you've got to trust your lawyer at some point. Get the best one you can and then follow their advice, their counsel, because we're literally called advocates, we're called counselors for a reason. We are there for you, to help you through this difficult situation that you find yourself in, and to throw that away and think that you have the better legal strategy as a non-lawyer compared to someone who's been practicing law in this very field for years to decades is it's concerning.
Yeah, this goes to trial a little more than a month from now, so we're going to see how this all plays out in very short order as May will go ahead in front of the court on his own. On his own. Sure, he's got some coaches behind him, but on his own. So that's why we do these extra segments, because we need a full almost 30 minutes for some of these.
And we're glad that you watched, because and as you see this and you get to the end of this, share this with other folks so they can also see and get connected with the Capitol just like you are.
All right. Thanks for joining us.